What's up guys, my name is Josh. Real quick before we start, if you do want to support my channel on Patreon, I would greatly appreciate it. Link is in the description down below, as well as the links to everything that I'm going to talk about today. Now, as an audio lover, I've always been on a budget. And I've tried a lot of the lower end being under $500 options that are out there. And I think I've kind of gotten this collection of headphones that do certain things really well. So there are three headphones that I want to cover in particular. They all do different things and they all fit different categories. And there may be two headphones that would be on the list of the absolute top of the line under $100, but they do kind of the same thing. So I want to stay away from that. And what I want to create is a list that is diverse. So I'm going to have one gaming headphone, one music headphone for enjoyment purposes, and then one analytical, more you would edit or mix music with it type of headphone. The gaming one is going to be semi-open, the music one is going to be open, and the monitoring headphone is going to be closed. And I think that fits the best purposes for what they're made for. Now let's go ahead and get into the cheapest one, the gaming headphone. So this is the Superlux 668B. Now a slight disclaimer of this headphone, the build quality is not the best. The looks are not the best. I don't think it looks that good. I think most of you would agree with me. It is pretty much all plastic. It doesn't come with these pads. It actually comes with a more fake leather looking pad, which are slightly uncomfortable, although not that bad. And the Cosmos pads I have on these are only like $7, so they're super cheap. But the reason why I picked this headphone is because just a headphone is going to run you about $44. It's a really cheap, easy to drive headphone that's not really too amp picky. And the reason why I like it for gaming is because it has amazing detail in the mids and the highs. And what that allows for is just insanely good soundstage. So the reason why that's beneficial and why I picked a headphone that doesn't have a lot of bass is because when I play games, I intend to win. So anything that gives me a competitive advantage, being a mouse, keyboard, higher frame rates, or whatever it is, I want to have the best advantage that I can. And because of the way that first-person shooters are played, and that's kind of primarily what I play, because first-person shooters rely heavily on not only visual but also auditory accuracy, you actually don't want to use a whole lot of bass, because under a certain frequency, bass actually becomes omnidirectional, so you can't tell where it's coming from. And we want good soundstage and imaging, and that's exactly what these offer. Now, soundstage and imaging, if you don't know, soundstage would be how close and how far away something can sound. And imaging would be, let's say you have a soundstage that's this wide. Imaging would be the accuracy within that range. So you want a good combination of both. And there is such thing as overemphasized soundstage and underemphasized soundstage. And the one thing that I like about these is that it's not overly emphasized, it's accurate. So when you're just listening and you imagine that a player is right there and what direction and how far away from you they are, and you can place them exactly, that's exactly what you want in a good pair of gaming headphones, in my opinion. Now, another thing I like about the 668Bs and the reason why I chose those as the cheapest of our three options at $44 is because a lot of the times you want to talk with your friends, you want to communicate, so you want to get a microphone. Well, there's a great microphone that you can get called a mod mic, and that's going to run you about $50. It is more expensive, but the sound quality is totally worth it. I think it's an excellent microphone. And the best part is that it can stick on right here on this piece and it just hangs down right in front of your mouth. And the sound quality of it is amazing. It allows you to easily communicate. Regarding the headphones, the sound quality of them, even for music, even for monitoring, and especially for gaming, hits way above their price range. Now, the second pair of headphones that I want to talk about today are for music, and they are our second most expensive option, and they come in about $71. I've seen them all the way down to $50, and I've seen them all the way up to $85. So the price does fluctuate from week to week, it seems, depending on the supply and demand. But it's actually going to be the Philips SHP 9500s. Now, I know that there's a lot of people who don't like these headphones, but there are, I feel, even more who do, and I'm one of them. I really, really think that for a $71 pair of music headphones, these are great. If you've never heard like an audiophile headphone, these are a great beginner headphone, like really, really amazing. The vocal isolation that you get from these, to explain this in simple ways, if you have music and vocals, and normally they're aligned evenly like this, vocal isolation will pull the music back in the background, you know, using that soundstage that I was talking about earlier, and bring forward the vocals in a more intimate way. And what this allows you to do is to have really, really rich and detailed, focused vocals. And for the type of music that at least I listen to, it's really, really great. It also works very well for acoustic, instrumental. Now, because of the open back design, it doesn't have the greatest bass response in the world. In fact, headphone number 3 is actually going to be the best in terms of bass response. but just the way that these sound, they have been described as slightly thin, and that's not really going to make a lot of sense until you've heard them, but they still have a lot of body to the sound. There's still a lot of richness and a lot of fullness that can be recovered from this. The highs in general are amazing. There are a couple spots in the like 4 to 10K area where it does peak a little bit and get a little bit of sibilance. But honestly, I mean, there are some drawbacks you're gonna have to make when you're purchasing a budget headphone. I mean, you're not gonna expect these to play at the same capacity as a pair of Audeze LCDs, you know? They're just not gonna do the same things, but for how much they cost, I think they're one of the best deals that are out there right now. Oh, and one last thing for the SHPs, I actually recommend buying this aftermarket V-Moda cable, just because the cable is really, it's just such a good cable, and they're super cheap. I think they're like $7 or $8. Totally worth it. They're lovely cables. Now, the third headphone that I want to talk about is the Audio-Technica M4 Dx, and you'll notice I do have aftermarket pads on here. These pads are going to run you about $40 to $50 depending on when you get them. I do recommend them. That is going to bring the price above $150, but I'm going to talk about the sound without the pads and just with the stock pads on them. So with the stock pads, these measure extremely flat, especially for a $100 pair of headphones. They're really detailed. They're great for monitoring for not only vocals, but instruments. And one thing that I really like about them is I can tell the noise floor on a microphone or an amplifier or a recording very easily with these things. I don't know if it's due to where it hits in the frequency response range. I'm not sure exactly what causes it on this particular pair of headphones, but I'm able to pick out flaws in actual recordings very easily. And for purposes of mixing, or what I do, like a lot of video editing, and I can cut a particular part out because I don't like the way that it sounds, or there's a weird noise in the background and I can reduce that in post. That's exactly what you should be able to use a monitoring headphone for. On top of that, they are very portable. They have a detachable cable, as all three do, which is another reason why I chose these. They're pretty robust feeling, actually. They are plastic. It's not the most high quality plastic in the world, but these definitely don't feel like they're gonna fall apart anytime soon, and I really like that. And with these pads on them, they're actually one of the most comfortable headphones that I have here to listen to. And a big part of the reason why I picked these for monitoring headphones is because they're not really amp picky. Like the SHPs, for example, you plug them into a solid state, they sound one way. You plug them into a tube, they sound completely different. Cools down the highs a little bit, widens the sound stage, brings up the mids, and reduces the bass a little bit. The M40Xs really don't care. You plug them into anything you like, and they sound almost exactly the same. And because of the portability and the easy to driveness of these, you can plug them in from anything to the little .3 tube amplifier to this Oppo Hot2 to my iPhone. And I'm going to be able to reliably edit either music or videos on them without really having to worry about it sounding weird on certain systems or not weird or something like that. Like I don't have to worry about anything. It's just a well-made, easy to use, very flat, very reference sounding headphone. So stock, these are gonna run you about $100. I do recommend getting the pads. It is gonna bring you up to the $140 or $150 area, but you don't need them at all. You also get a couple cables with them. One is gonna be a completely flat cable. The other one's going to be coiled like this one. With the 668Bs, you only get one long cable. And then I can't remember what comes on the SHPs, but it's definitely, none of these are the same quality as this V-Moda cable. And really, all three of these headphones are great headphones, but I tried to diversify both price and open, closed, and what they're built for and made for. And there are a ton of great options under $100. These are just, of the ones that I have tried, and the diversity of these being open and closed. I had a really hard time picking these between the MR7506s. Is that what the number is? I can't even remember the number. Okay, it's the MDR7506s. That is another great professional monitoring headphone that's closed. I think that this one, both for professional and for like listening to your own music, playing your own games, I think that this one pulls a little bit ahead of the Sony. Anyways, guys, I think that's going to be my top 3 recommendations under $100 for different purposes, both gaming, musical, and professional use. And yeah, let me know if you have any headphone suggestions to what you like that's under $100. There are a ton of great options. Status, Sony's, the Brainwaves, some of the Sennheisers are under $100, and they're really good. These are just my top 3. Links to everything are down below. If you like the video, like it, subscribe to the channel. You know the drill. Peace.